Hi, everybody. I decided to start just a minute early because I'm getting so many people already chatting, and I'm thrilled that you're here. I'll give people time to get settled in. We still have 60 seconds. Hi, Christina. Good to see everybody. Dave, Tina, Ebony. So good to see you. If you're just now showing up, go ahead and put your name in the chat. We'll start right on time. And it is a packed program today. Welcome, everybody. As you know, I will take little breaks in between to see if there's questions and to recognize people. We had at least 500 that signed up for this, so I'm really, really excited. Today, we're going to be talking about um, four leadership behaviors that build trust. So we're going to start that in about 30 seconds. I'm just going to show some people that are showing up. You have to be great at multitasking to use this platform. And as you know, I don't like to multitask. I like to focus. So this is good practice. Okay, we're getting everybody showing up. Everybody's showing up. Okay, I'm so glad you're here. I've got a lot today, and I'm glad there's so much interest. I've been thinking a lot about trust, and every time I do a LinkedIn Live and office hours, I go deep. I start to think about how to define it, how it shows up. So I'm really excited to share some of my insights. And as you'll see really quickly, right before we start, there's a ticker going across that says www.marlenechisholm.com/trust. For this one, I built a learning guide because it's so content rich and I'm going to go fast. I figured that you might want the learning guide. And if you're on that list, I'll go ahead and then send out an email to you as soon as I get this one posted on my YouTube channel. And then that way you can have not only the recording easy to find, and you'll have the learning guide, and then you can share this with your team at work. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and I'll check in intermittently to see where everybody's from and who's all showing up. Thank you so much for being here. Today it's about 4 leadership behaviors that build trust. Building trust, as you know, in the workplace requires all of us leaders to be aware of behaviors that we unintentionally exhibit that diminishes trust. So in this LinkedIn Learning office hours, we're going to talk about what I call unintentional trust busters and how to identify those behaviors that could be limiting your effectiveness, or if you're over, like you're a director or above, it might be limiting some of the leaders that you're working with. It might be inhibiting some of their effectiveness. So here's what we're going to learn. 4 behaviors that, if practiced consistently, will help to rebuild trust with your employees, your peers, and your executives. So let me tell you what to expect today. It's really going to go fast. We got a whole lot of content. Can't wait to hear what you think about it afterwards. First, I'm going to talk about how we're going to define trust for this program. Then I'm going to give trust busters so that you can kind of self-examine, because we all make these mistakes. I know that I still make some of these mistakes, and I work on these. But after we dig in, I'm going to talk about the trust buster that we just examined and then the solution to that so that you can be more intentional. Then if you stay to the very end, I have a bonus for you that has to do with what I call the invisible. It's the very element that influences leadership behavior. So stay tuned. Now that I've told you what to expect, I'm going to check in once again and just show some people hi there from South Korea, all the way from California to South Korea. We've got someone from India. Hi there. Hi, Kathy. And hi, Ingar from Nigeria. Great. We've got a global audience today. So let's talk about how we define trust. And I've got something for you so that if you don't want the learning guide, you can still see it on here. How we define trust is we think of, if you think about it, you say, well, I trust someone, or I don't trust them, or yeah, I like them, but I don't trust them, or I trust them, but I don't like them. So how do we define trust? We haven't really thought deeply about it, but to fully trust, we aren't just talking about liking someone, and we're not only looking at their competence, because you can like someone's competence. I mean, I've had this with my elderly mother. When I take her to the doctor, I trust their competence, but she doesn't like them, so I have to pick someone else. So it's this combination of both. So I built this little piece for you that I want to show real quick. It'll give me a chance just to show you how I've divided this up. So here you have in quadrant 1, you have quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. So if you'll see on the vertical axis, you have high character at the top and low character. So the character, your perception of character goes down. Then on the left, we have sort of this less competence to more competence. So that's the little grid that I made to explain what I'm going to be talking about here when I talk about the 4 different levels. And on the learning guide, I'm giving some examples. I'll try to remember some of those as I talk about it. But the first level is you think they have character, but you don't trust their ability to deliver. So for example, let's say you're looking for a new doctor. You really like them. They're present, they seem like they care, they take extra time, but as time goes on, they tell you that you need a surgery and they say, "Well, I can do it." And you're like, "No. I mean, I trust you for these things, but not for that. I need a specialty." So we like them and trust them for a certain level of area that we're interested in, but when they ask, like consulting as well, people trust me for certain things. I'm not there to teach other things. So character is important, but also your ability to deliver. Let's say we're in quadrant 2. They have the integrity. You feel psychologically safe. They have a track record of excellence. That's where we all want to be. Whatever we're delivering in our area of expertise, we want people to trust us, to like us, to think that our word is golden and that we can actually deliver. And then on level 3, there's neither the character or the competence. And I think the example I give on the learning guide is, let's say you bought some equipment from someone that you really thought had character. They promised you the moon. You bought a big piece of equipment for your company. It broke down in month number 3. You tried to get a hold of them. It was under warranty. Then they made excuses, and now they're coming back the next year and they're saying, "Hey, it was bad timing. It was COVID. We couldn't help it." You don't trust them. There's no character, and you wonder about their competence. We don't really even consider working with anybody that's in that third quadrant. And then number 4 is they have a track record of competency, but they're shrewd. They're a bully. They don't get along well. So we see this sometimes. I'm going to show this once again. We see this sometimes on this level 4 with what we might call, oh, they're really a high performer, but they don't get along with the team. So that's just how we start to think about trust. That's how whether we know it consciously or not, we divide it in our mind to where that's how we view people. So I'm going to check in really quickly. A whole lot more people has come in. I'm going to say hi there from Saudi Arabia. I've got someone from Tennessee. And yes, the learning guide. Let me tell you where that is, Joyce. If you go to marlenechisholm.com/trust, you'll get a web page, and you'll just sign your name, your title, and your email, and you'll get the download of that. And then later I'll email you to say, here's where the recording is again so that you can watch it again. Yes, the learning guide will be shared. Absolutely. Okay, so we're going to go forward now. And I've defined it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you what I call the 4 trust busters. Now, to be honest with you, I could probably create 10 trust busters. I've been seeing a lot of things lately that's diminishing trust, for example, and I'm not even talking about this, but it is probably under one of these categories. Just this people feeling like it's okay not to respond to someone's text or email when there's a relationship established. I'm seeing this all over the place. It's like we justify it by saying we're so busy. So this is what I'm here to say. I'm not here to judge other people. I always look at it as my opportunity. If I'm good at areas that others are blinded by, that they don't know their blind spots, then it's just going to make me stand out. So I don't really worry what other people do to me. I just decide I'm going to build trust with my clients, with the people that like to follow me. They're going to know that my word is golden. And when I say I can do something, I'm going to deliver. And if I can't, I'll let them know. So the 4 trust busters that I'm going to talk about is number 1, emotional mismanagement. And I'm going to go into depth on this in a minute, then I'll give you the solution. Number 2, blindsides. Number 3, appeasing. And number 4, misalignment. So let's talk about emotional mismanagement first, then I'll check in again. I'll see if there's any questions, and we'll go through the other 3. So emotional mismanagement. Here's some behaviors that will make employees view you as what they will view as emotionally unstable. And it's really just mismanagement. In my upcoming book, From Conflict to Courage, I make the statement that conflict is not the problem, mismanagement is. So when we mismanage, It's because we don't understand the emotional part of our journey. And here's one: defensiveness, outbursts, and even harsh emails. If that's what you do to relieve your stress, even though they should know you're just blowing steam, people will be afraid of your response and they're going to avoid you or tell you only what you want to hear. The example I want to share with you is that I used to have a boss that would say, if I had a complaint, and of course I didn't understand how to make a complaint a valid complaint with a solution or make it palatable for my boss, but I would have a complaint and he would say, look, that's just the way it is. I didn't ask you to work here. And if you don't like it, find yourself another place to work. There was always thoughts that I had about solutions, but I was afraid to bring them forward because I just dreaded that interaction. And so part of what I teach leaders to do is how to have that emotional stability to be able to radically listen instead of just reacting to your own stressors. And I'll tell you, I'm still working on that in some areas of my life. On the flip side, the very reason some leaders avoid difficult conversations is they don't want to blow up. They don't want to react to someone's defensiveness. In other words, they don't trust themselves. So, what that means is they don't have the conflict capacity to deal with those issues. And that's another thing that is going to be coming up in my book, because I realized that was an area where I was struggling. And I always think if I'm struggling with something, other people are too. So I always see myself as in the journey with people and teaching what I'm working on and what I'm learning. I'm going to check in real quick, as I said I would. And hi there, Amanda, George from San Diego. And you all are up early, aren't you, if you're in San Diego? And Hartford, Connecticut. Got New York. Got India. I've got London. Hi, Felicia. I've got Toronto. Thank you all for just typing that in. It always means a lot just to know, where everybody's coming from. Okay, so we've talked about the first one, which is emotional mismanagement. The second one is blindsides. So here are the behaviors that employees will see as a blindside. Calling an employee out in front of their peers. Very embarrassing. They'll view it as you not being on their side. These conversations need to be handled differently with either a question or a conversation that's private. Changing schedules, job descriptions, responsibilities, overworking employees just because you're struggling without some sort of conversation, without warning. They're really going to feel blindsided with that. They're going to feel like you don't understand. They're going to be afraid that if they turn down extra work, they're not going to be seen as a team player, and it's going to be perceived as a blindside if you don't have a conversation. I see this one all the time, firing people when they only had great evaluations and they're shocked. This happens quite often, unfortunately. Either they didn't get the hint or there wasn't a conversation where they could improve, and it's just this big misunderstanding that turns into letting someone go that maybe has been there a long time and they're pretty shocked. Now, I talk about this good, bad evaluation piece in my upcoming book, From Conflict to Courage, because I have seen this and I'm shocked at it, actually. I've seen government agencies that give yearly evaluations. That's the only conversation they ever have with an employee. And they can score on a scale of, like, let's say 1 to 5, but the rule is we can only give someone a 3. So what that means is even top performers that have gone above and beyond only get a 3, and the justification is, well, we can't give raises, so we can't do a 5 because they'll expect a raise. You know what? There's value in just being recognized to being a top performer. And I think that's a ridiculous mindset. And whoever makes up those rules, they don't understand leadership. They don't understand relationships. It doesn't take much to connect the dots here. I've also seen really poor performers get a 2.5 or a 3 because, you know what, they need the money. I like them. At least they show up. That's just not good management. It's not good leadership. Those issues eventually, whether it's today, 1 month from now, 1 year from now, or a decade from now, will cause a blind side that will be so much trouble. You'll wish that you could go back and do Control Z and do it over again. So that's the first two, is emotional mismanagement and blind sides. I'm going to check in once again. Lots of people showing up. Hi there from Wisconsin. See, I'm multitasking here. From Egypt, hi there, Hiba. And from Birmingham, yes, there is a guide. Let me speak this once again. Go to the scrolling at the bottom that says marlenechisholm.com/trust. I'll put this in the notes later on after we're done, but you can go there right now and download that and print it if you want to. So here is Miriam from Dubai, and we have Jeffrey from Kenya. I'm asking too that if you're enjoying this, please share this on your own page so that other people can see it. And I think that'll help a lot of people. Hi, Laura. Thank you so much. A friend of mine and fellow instructor with great, great work that I watch all the time. Okay, so here we are. We've talked about the first two. Now let's talk about appeasing. In conflict of courage, I talk about appeasing as just a form of avoidance. It's the need to please people. It happens when the leader identifies as nice or congenial. And I've also seen a trend to where we love to collaborate, which really is code for there's no leadership. Sometimes leaders have to make decisions. Leaders have to have decision-making capabilities. It's great to be democratic. It's great to get other ideas. But if you're voting on every single thing, you're appeasing and you're not leading, and therefore it makes people confused about their role. And so it's saying things like, on a small level, I'll get back to you, and then not scheduling the appointment. This is happening all the time, and I think it's because we're all overwhelmed. I drop balls sometimes. I think I'll remember something, and then I don't think of it for 2 or 3 days, or I don't think of it until it's too late. Also, agreeing when you disagree. Oh, great idea, but I don't really like it. I just don't want to hurt your feelings, or I don't want the conflict. We can say, let me think about that. I'm not sure I agree, but I appreciate your comment. Like, we can do stuff like that, but we don't. We just are too nice to argue. So that's another one of appeasing. And I'm going to go into the fourth one, and then I'm going to check in once again. The fourth one is misalignment. So what does that mean? It's when the walk doesn't equal the talk. It's when the value stated on the website is not the same as how we really live. And I do believe there's aspirational values that we are not there yet, but we're working toward that. And then there are values that we already live it. Actions speak louder than words. So no matter what the leaders say, no matter what the leader or you say you're committed to, it's really the behavior that counts. Always trust the behavior more than the words and the smile and the wink that's attached to it. When the rules constantly change, or there's different standards for different people, and if people don't understand the why behind those things, the perception is that it's not fair. So not fair. Things can be fair. It's just that maybe sometimes people don't understand the reason for the decision. But here's 3 little bullet points: not enforcing policies, inconsistent follow through, or this is my favorite, everything is urgent. Everything is urgent. Let's just check in once again. Say hi to some people. Dear, hi, dear. And thank you for this. I struggle with appeasing myself. I hear you. I mean, self-awareness is half the battle, isn't it? That's what I'm learning, is that if I can just be aware of it, then I can change it. If I'm blind to it, I can't change it. So there we are again, showing the same people. Sorry about that. Just trying to multitask here. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to ask you the question: which one do you think you do the most? I'm going to name these and you can type it in. Do you feel like you have emotional mismanagement? And believe me, there's no judgment here. I have emotional mismanagement sometimes, and I just hate myself for it. But how I make peace with it is I'm human and I'm helping other people. So I'm trying, I'm doing the best I can. I read books on it, I study, I've had counseling. So we're all doing the best we can, especially with awareness. So emotional mismanagement, blindsides. I'm not an appeaser, so I know that I don't appease, and I don't think I'm much into misalignment. Mine is probably emotional mismanagement. Sometimes I get a little aggravated and I can come off as sharp or too much to the point, or I haven't taken a breath. So that's mine. So which one is yours? Emotional mismanagement, blindside, appeasing, misalignment? Let's just check in. Yeah, thanks so much. Here's one that says, yeah, I do have some emotional mismanagement. Awareness is the first step. Yes. Good. I'm glad it looks motivating. Yes, you can ask a question. I will try my best. And here's the thing. If I can't find the question because this thing scrolls really fast, I'll filter back through, or else you can email me, Marlene@marlenechisholm.com, and I will try to answer that. So, oh wow, there's lots of stuff coming in now. People are saying, hey, I'm an appeaser. Appeasing, yeah. Here's someone else that says emotional mismanagement. And a lot of times, let me say this, they go hand in hand. I find that, used to when I was an appeaser a long time ago, um, I would also mismanage emotionally because by the time you appease and you haven't set a boundary, you get angry. And so they all kind of go together, and that would be a whole other program there. So a lot of people are admitting it. Hey, I've got a program on anger management on LinkedIn. I hope that helps. So here's the question. Is it possible to build trust by using emotional stimuli? I guess I would need more information on that. I think trust has to be about integrity. So if it's manipulation and using things to manipulate, I would say no. But I say we have to be emotionally aware. We have to have emotional integrity. So that's probably the best that I can answer right now. Okay. All right. Emotional, yeah, they are very close together. And I did one on boundaries that was a paid program. LinkedIn's letting some of us experiment with paid programming. I did one on boundaries, and I think people got a lot of value out of that. It's really weird because most of us don't think we need boundaries. So you have to know that you need to set boundaries. You have to understand that if you're angry all the time, or if you're judging other people, or if you are frustrated, chances are you need to ask for what you want or set a boundary. Another program did that one last month. So let's talk about the solutions to these four, and then I'll check in again. So the first trust buster is emotional mismanagement. Here's the solution. Become intentional about your communication. When you're angry is not the time to shoot off an email. Give time to process first. Guard your interpretations. Don't interpret anger as the truth of a situation. It's just energy moving through your body, telling you there's more information that you need, telling you that you need to set a boundary. Interpret strong emotions as a sign to get information and build a plan. That is how you become more intentional. That's really worked for me. It'll work for you. The second trust buster is blindsides. Stop avoiding conversations. That will stop the blindsides. Don't go behind their back. Don't talk about them. Don't stop creating new policies to avoid conversations. I see companies doing that. Well, now we're going to have a policy because they don't want to talk about it. Portugal made it a law that bosses can't text employees. Couldn't that have been solved by some conversations? Like, let's create a rule ourselves about how we want to interact at work. Is it okay occasionally if it's an emergency? I mean, it's a conversation, but we have to regulate it by law because people don't want to talk to each other. Don't embarrass and respect people. Okay, so here's the next one, appeasing. Make your word golden. Stay in conversations that are difficult. Tell the truth instead of sugarcoating it to avoid their feelings. Let them feel what they feel. Build the capacity to allow someone to feel their disappointment and not have to take it on and fix it. That's really hard, especially in family systems. It's equally hard though as a leader if you've been kind of trained to be that fixer. Um, Put it on the calendar. Stop saying, let's do lunch or I'll get back to you. That's a promise. That's the way I see it. It's a promise. If I can't say I'll do it now, I'll say, please, if you'll check back with me in a month. Yeah. And Dave says, never coach in anger. It's like disciplining children, never in anger. So true. Don't give someone advice when they're angry. Don't try to coach them. You can never coach an unregulated person. I learned that in narrative coaching. And I can see I'm going a little bit over time. I hope you can stay with me and I hope this doesn't cut out. Um, remember that stop thinking that you'll remember small promises because when it's out of sight, it's out of mind. If you promise someone something, put it on the calendar so that it is not out of mind. The final one is mismanagement. Here's the solution. Make aligned changes and then communicate those changes. So what do I mean about aligned changes? Review policies that are no longer relevant. Schedule regular communications and put that on the agenda. The changes. Here's what's changed and here's why. Stop acting like everything is a priority. That's just a lack of organization. And clearly state the intentions at the beginning of any important conversation. Okay, I'm going to give you the bonus right now. This is the bonus at the end. I want to remind you the learning guide is the ticker below, marlenechisholm.com/trust. As soon as I get this uploaded to YouTube, I will send you also the link to my YouTube channel where you can watch all the other LinkedIn lives and office hours that I've done. And you can grab the learning guide and you can watch this again with your team and you can share the learning guide and you can have sort of a free roundtable teaching this concept. Okay, so here's the bonus. You can have all the tips, the tricks, and the techniques in the world, but if you don't have your inner game right, then nothing is going to create trust. And that's what I was saying earlier about emotional stimuli. The way to create trust is how you see others. It's your regard for other people and the way you identify yourself as well. I wrote about that in my first book, Stop Workplace Drama. The way you see yourself, that's identity. The way you see others, that's the way you regard them. That is going to elevate or take away from your trust. If you see people as victims, as weak, as needing to be coddled, as they can't handle the truth, your behavior is going to align with that belief about them. If you see people as valuable and they are able to do their job and they want to improve, your behavior will align with that. So if you see the other person as an obstacle, like in other words, if you see them as high conflict, difficult to work with, too slow for you. Now, I'm bad about seeing things as too slow and I can get impatient. That's the wrong way to see someone else. That's my issue, the impatience. They're doing what they do, right? If you see the other person as a cog in the wheel, like I felt that way as a factory worker. I was a cog in the wheel. Nothing mattered as long as I was there to do productivity. It mattered when they needed me, but it didn't matter when I didn't. And so don't treat people like a cog in the wheel. If it's only about productivity, new business, or the numbers, you're going to struggle with trust. If you see them as less important than you, I have a feeling and a belief that everybody has value and everybody is equally important in their humanity. They may not be as important in the organization in that the CEO has a bigger job or there's someone that's more important to a certain role. There's value differences there because of the roles that we play and the importance of the skill sets and so on. I couldn't be a neurosurgeon. A neurosurgeon is more valuable to me to someone that needs neurosurgery. So we all, though, in our humanity are of equal value. And when we start to see people that way, our relationships change. We quit thinking about all these other things that are distracting us right now. So the way that you see others is going to determine their ability to build trust and to feel emotionally stable and to want to be inspired by you. So here's the conclusion. I'm going to once again say get the learning guide at marlenechisholm.com/trust. Please share this on your own page so that others can see it. I just get a thrill to see I get 11 shares this time. I got 20 shares this time. So that's really fun for me. As leaders, we can't always control the external environment, the culture, or the decisions that are made outside of our scope of control. We can't do that. But what we can do is build awareness, the character, and the skills to increase trust with ourselves, our peers, and our team members. So I know that went fast. I'm going to check in real quick, let people just have kind of their last say. Yeah, we cannot assume how others act or feel. We can interpret it, but we don't really know. Yes, conversations are so important. And here's Dave's again. I think it's worth showing again. Don't coach in anger. So again, a thank you. I'd love to hear your greatest takeaway. If you want to go on my LinkedIn just to tell me what was your greatest takeaway today, that's wonderful for me. Do I need to slow down? Do I need to less is more? I mean, just feel free. I'm asking for the feedback. What tools do you use to track commitments and promises? You could either use your tasks list or like if I make a promise to let's do lunch and I say I'll call someone, I schedule it in my calendar. I just make it simple. I just have a place. I might sometimes even in my calendar, I'll put a to do or I'll put promises and I'll just put those down and then I'll just work on it. So it's just easy. It doesn't have to be complicated at all. Yes, thank you. You're looking forward to the learning guide. Glad you're getting it. Here's one, not trying to solve every problem others have is an important takeaway. That's right. It's not yours to solve every problem. Trust people and their own intelligence. People are brilliant. People are absolutely brilliant. Thank you all for joining me today. I hope I didn't rattle this off too fast. Let me know what you're doing and what one thing you're going to work on to improve trust in your organization. Go get the learning guide at marlenechisholm.com/trust. My new book, From Conflict to Courage, is now available for pre-sale on Amazon if you want to go get that. There's also a 30% sale at Barrett Kohler Publishers on any books. There's lots of books that I enjoy that from their authors. So not just mine, but other books as well if you're buying books for Christmas or you want to get some stuff to stock for your library next year. Thank you, everybody, and I will see you next time.